I think it's false in the sense that at the world level conflicts never disappeared. But it's true for Europe that it is a novelty for us to have a high-intensity war in our direct neighborhood. What is, I think, also remarkable is this renewal of great power rivalries, which is something new at this level of intensity, at least, in the post-Cold War era. I think this is true, and it is increasingly obvious that economic sanctions are a very valuable tool in most conflicts right now. They are gaining increasing value just because of the interconnectedness of all economies at the world level. Now, they are valuable to the extent that we understand correctly what their possibilities and objectives are. They are not a replacement for a direct fight, but they are precisely valuable for those countries not willing to fight directly, to get involved directly in a conflict, but willing to influence without boots on the ground. And if you look at recent conflicts in Russia, Ukraine, in Iran, Syria, you see the importance economic sanctions are taking. I think it's true if by this we mean globalization as a functional rules-based order. The international level has never been perfect, but it has been ruling effectively most of financial and commercial relations at the world level. And the breach of confidence, I think, makes it impossible for years to come, at least with the same level of reliability. It has lost legitimacy for some extent, and it has also raised security concerns which will call for specific measures related to economic security policies, which will be different from what we've seen so far. False, according to me, in the sense that I don't think the objective of the euro has never been to replace the dollar. It's been to equip Europe with a solid and stable currency. And that so far has been the case. And this is a big achievement. And in addition, I think it's useful to emphasize that the euro is now in the international monetary system a solid second currency, second to the dollar, which is already a very valuable status and a very valuable tool for Europe. This is largely true, according to me, but there are two kinds of dependencies here which are pretty different. Dependency to China is a big concern for industry due to Chinese very strong mercantilistic policies. Dependency on the US is different in nature. It's more linked to security concern. And that's also a challenge for the EU, but on a different ground. I think it's fair to recognize that for now this is mainly true. And at the same time, hopefully it won't be true in a few years from now. But getting ready to defend ourselves effectively will require action, and most of all, I think, coordination and political will to act really, and in that for that matter. I think this is largely true. Trump policies are obviously disruptive in the short term, but there is also a long-term damage, and this damage is more about confidence. Confidence in the legitimacy and the reality of a rules-based order, in the reliability of the world markets as a procurement source for strategic goods, and it's potentially a long-term damage because it's not coming out of the blue. It is just a follow-up on a period of increasing tensions and weaponization of internal relations. I think this is not true, or at least it is oversimplified. It's clear and obvious that the EU is dependent on the US for security, for financial matters, infrastructures as well, and in many respects on digital infrastructures as well. It's also fair to recognize that the US also has dependencies on the EU for industry, for instance, for financing its current account deficit as well. So it's asymmetry, it's clear. Europe dependencies are stronger or deeper. It's also linked more deeply to the fact that Europe is not a country, so it's not built for and shaped for power politics, and that I think where the deepest dependency is. I'm reluctant to call it an opportunity because this is a very costly sequence for Europe, potentially, and we'll see how it evolves, but it's certainly costly. At the same time, I think it can be useful for Europe as a wake-up call to the fact that we cannot anymore offshore somehow our security to another country. We Europeans cannot anymore refuse to enter the realm of power politics somehow. I think this is true to the extent that in Europe, we have all the assets and possibilities, capabilities necessary to ensure our own strategic autonomy. The challenge is mainly a challenge of coordination across European countries and of political willingness, because that will be costly. It requires making choices, prioritizing some areas, and in many cases it's like an insurance. It will be costly from a purely economic point of view. I think this is essentially true in the sense that I don't think Europe should yield to the kind of chantage that the US is trying to make on it as regards trade. Transatlantic economic relations are not fundamentally imbalanced if you take into account trade in goods, but also trade in services and investment revenues. It is true, according to me, that this sovereignty and reindustrialization is realistic or at least reachable. Most of all, I guess, if we recognize that we have to devise our own way, we European Union, to do it, acknowledging the fact that Europe is dependent upon imports for energy and prime materials, so it has to be an open way of sovereignty, but we have all the assets and skills and capabilities necessary to do it, I think.